Hey everybody, I'm really excited to start this video series off. This is going to be really comprehensive. There's going to be a lot here. For those of you who are involved in worship ministry, who are wanting to get involved in worship ministry, I'm going to use this series of videos to go in depth, to cover a lot of topics that I've wanted to cover for a long time, and it's been really difficult because the amount of content is hard to handle when you have everybody's schedules. People have a hard time just carving out the time to be able to come to a series of classes, and I understand that. But through this video, you're going to be able to watch this at your convenience, and I'm going to be able to record it at my convenience. And so it's going to work really well. Plus, you'll be able to go back and rewatch things and go back over and look at things maybe that you missed. And then also it's nice as people join our worship ministry, we can just send the link to these videos and it'll be available 24/7 all the time. I love it. I can't believe we haven't done it this way before. So I want to start off and just give you kind of a brief overview of what we're going to be covering throughout the course of all these videos. And there's going to be a lot, but you can take it at your own pace and kind of process everything in a way that works for you. So to start off, we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about leading worship with the acoustic guitar. So basically what I'm including in this series of videos is some guitar lessons, basic guitar lessons. I've had something that I think God placed in my heart years and years and years ago, to offer a course for playing the guitar to be used in a small group worship setting or even a large church corporate worship setting, whatever. But the ability to use the guitar to help lead worship. There's all sorts of times where you may be somewhere, whether it be a class or a group or whatever, where you may want to lead worship and there's no musicians. And I've been in places like that where we just sing, and that's great. But it's nice to be able to have an instrument for accompaniment. And so I'm going to teach you how to play the guitar. And we're going to focus on the skills that you need and the knowledge and ability that you need to be able to use the guitar to help lead worship. So you're going to be strumming, finger picking, you're going to be able to play chords, you're going to understand how to look at a piece of, not really sheet music, but a worship chart, and be able to read that chart and use it to help you lead a song. So we're going to look at leading worship with the acoustic guitar. We're going to talk about music theory. Yes, music theory. I love it. It's awesome. It's fun. It's not boring. It's awesome. And you're going to find out that music theory is actually a really cool thing. But music theory for the modern worship team. And then we're going to talk about sound, lighting, and presentation, and how those things work in a worship service. I might even bring in some special guests from time to time for something like that. We're going to talk about the keyboard. So those of you who play piano, those of you who play synth, we're going to get in depth not only in how those different instruments work and what technology or features are available on those keyboards, but we're going to talk about how the keyboard works in the context of the worship team. Okay? So, because what you'll find is, if you take piano lessons or something like that and you sit down and you play your song, that's not necessarily the same way that you play when you play on a worship team. So we're going to talk about how a keyboard works and how it fits in to the worship team. We're going to talk about playing as an ensemble. Now I know that sounds like a fancy word, right? A music theory or a music college word. It's not. It's how do we play as one unit? How do we play together to make one sound rather than a bunch of individuals doing their own thing hoping that it works out? We're going to talk about ways to do that. And then we're going to talk about playing by the Spirit. Now, there is a spiritual aspect to this. And I've been involved in worship teams before where you play and there's a moment where you feel the Holy Spirit leading what you play. And when everybody's being led by the Spirit, the Holy Spirit becomes kind of the conductor. And it's an incredible thing. It's something that you would never be able to experience if you just went out and played in a band somewhere or you played in an orchestra somewhere. This is something totally different, on a completely different level than any other musician who's not playing in this environment, who's not filled with the Spirit, could ever understand. It's incredible. But then there's also a natural side to that too, a skill that is necessary to be able to flow in that, if you will. And so we're going to talk about playing improvisationally or spontaneously and how that works. So that's going to be kind of more of our advanced topic, and we'll look at that down the road, but we're going to cover that too. Now, the amount of time we spend on each one of these sections is kind of to be determined. Some of these will be real brief videos. Some of these videos will be longer, okay? But it's going to be different from time to time. And where we go with some of these and how many videos so we'll probably be at least 4 sessions on the acoustic guitar. And where we go with each one of these categories is still to be determined. I'm just going to kind of play this by ear, and we're going to kind of build this as we go. But I think the end product is going to be really awesome. And so that's what we have to look forward to. I'm really excited about it. Like I say, the name of this series I'm calling Worship Mechanics, okay? Because I'm looking at it the way a mechanic would look at an engine, right? You pop the hood and you see all these components and all these parts, and you need to be able to understand how each part works to be able to make that engine just hum, right? And work perfectly. So that's what we're going to do. And by the end of this, it's my hope that you're going to be so equipped and so prepared to move into worship ministry and the calling God has on your life. All right? Okay, so first of all, today, session number 1, leading worship with the acoustic guitar. Now, what I want to do is I want to go over the parts of the guitar first of all. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm using a technology here with this camera that's pretty cool, and there's some things that I can do with this, and I'll explain it right now, but you're going to see this as we move through this series. And so I'll be kind of reaching over to the side here and doing something like I can zoom in on something, like the headstock of the guitar. And so I'm going to be doing that from time to time. So let's start right now and use this to our advantage. So this is the headstock. Now I'm going to take this piece off right here. That was called the capo. We'll get to the capo later on. This is the headstock. On the headstock you have 6 tuners or tuning keys, okay? Obviously you use these to tune the guitar, all right? Now moving down from the headstock, we have right here what's called the nut. And the nut supports the string at this end of the guitar. Now at the other end of the guitar we have the bridge and the saddle. I'll show you that in just a second. But this piece right here, on some guitars it's made out of plastic, on some guitars it's made out of bone or other materials, but this is the nut. The string sits in these little grooves and is supported by the nut. Okay? Now, moving down the guitar from there, this whole section is called the neck. This is the neck of the guitar. So you got the head and the neck. And on the neck, there are several or a couple different things that I want to point out to you. So these bars that run across the neck, so you got one here, 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 on down the guitar neck. Those are called frets, these metal bars. These frets are points on the neck where you push the string down, and as you push the string down over the fret, it's what causes the change in the note. So if I play this string right here, and then I push down this second fret right here, I get a different note. And so what's happening right there is when I play a string like that, what's happening is that note is produced by the length of the string. So as the string vibrates, it vibrates at a certain frequency. And that frequency is determined by where the string rests on the saddle, right here. That's this plastic piece, which is a part of the bridge. And the difference, or it rests on the saddle here and the nut up here. Okay? Now, so the length of the string as it vibrates produces that note. Now if I were to press down again the second fret, then I have in essence shortened the length of the string, because now I am causing the string to rest on that fret and shortening the length of the string. So I could press down this fret, the 5th fret, and I make that distance from fret to saddle even shorter. Okay? And so that's the way that I'm finding these different notes on the guitar. So those are frets. Now, let's zoom in here a little bit again. You'll notice on most guitars there are these little dots on the side of the neck, and those are just there to help you locate frets quickly and easily. So you've got one on the 3rd fret, the 5th fret, 7th fret, the 9th fret, and then you got double dots down there on the 12th fret. I don't know if you can see that or not. But those are there just to help you locate frets quickly and easily. And then also where those dots are, there's some little fancy inlays of pearl or something like that on the fingerboard. And the fingerboard is the flat side of the neck where the frets are embedded. Okay? So you got the headstock, the tuners, the nut, the frets located along the fingerboard. Fingerboard is on the neck, and then you got these little fret markers on the sides of the neck right here. Now, so I said you got the head, the neck, so this is the body, okay? Acoustic guitar, you're going to have a sound hole, and that's, you know, of course opens up into the cavity of the guitar. That gives you your nice big sound, allows it to resonate. And then I mentioned earlier, this is the bridge, this whole piece here. And this plastic piece that's embedded in the bridge is the saddle. It's called the saddle. And these different guitars have different bridge pins. These are called bridge pins. And basically when you restring a guitar, you put new strings on, or you change a string, you pop this out, pull the string out, put the new string down in there, and pop that bridge pin back in. Okay? So that pretty much covers all of that. Now, if you have an acoustic electric guitar, then you're going to have a place on the back here where you can plug in a guitar cable that'll go into a sound system. A lot of guitars nowadays are acoustic electric guitars, and they will plug in like that. Okay, now let me show you one last thing. All right. I know it looks like I'm distracted, but I'm just trying kind of directing my own video here. Now, like I said, an acoustic guitar that is an acoustic electric guitar will have a way to plug it in. And when you plug it in, you've got these controls here, most guitars do, where you can adjust the EQ, the bass, and the treble. You can adjust the volume, and there's some other adjustments there too. Some guitars even have tuners built into them right there on that spot. That's what those are for. And most of those functions, features, only work when they're plugged into a sound system, a PA system. Except for the tuner will work, you know, whether it's plugged in or not. So that's what that's for. Now my guitar has a special feature with this gigantic crack that runs all the way around the top of the body. And since we're talking about it, I'll tell you the cool story on that. This guitar was used on a Michael W. Smith tour, the Healing Rain tour. And I bought it from the guy who played guitar for him. And when they were on tour with Michael W. Smith, he dropped it on the stage. And his guitar tech fixed it by jamming all this epoxy or whatever it is in the crack. And it's really ugly, but it still works. I actually sent it back to Taylor and asked them to fix it, and they said they could not fix it, but that it would never break any more than it's already broken. So why do I tell you that? Guitars seem like really fragile, kind of delicate instruments that could break easily. And obviously, if you drive your car over it or something like that, your guitar is probably going to break. But this guitar is completely split all the way from here to here. And it still works great. It still sounds great. It's not going to break. So don't worry too much about your guitar. Take care of your guitar. It wants to be taken care of. But don't worry about it. Okay? So that's the guitar. Those are the parts of the guitar. Now, let's talk about the pick. Now, I have my pick over here. What I want to do today is basically talk about the physical act of playing the guitar. And we're not going to talk about any chords or anything like that today. I just want to go over the parts of the guitar and what you physically need to do to play the guitar, okay? So, talking about the guitar pick and how you hold it. You're going to hold this kind of the same way that you hold a dart. If you've ever thrown darts before, the tip of the pick is kind of like the tip of the dart. Let's zoom in for a closer look. So, you're going to kind of hold it just like you would throw a dart, aimed out just like that. Now, notice the pick, you don't want to hold it like this so that there's a lot sticking out. Because if you're not holding on to very much of the pick, then you're not controlling very much of the pick, and therefore you're not controlling the way you play. You want to have a hold of quite a bit of the pick under your thumb. And so really that pick is going to kind of rest on the side of your index finger, just like that, and then your thumb's going to come and overlap it and hold it in place, okay? So that's going to be kind of the way that you hold the pick. Not like this, but like this, okay? So that's the right hand. That's how you're going to hold the pick. Now, a quick word about what kind of pick to use. Now, we're talking about using the acoustic guitar in the context of leading worship, right? So you're going to do a lot of strumming. And you want a pick that has some flexibility to it, okay? So this pick right here is a 50.50 millimeter pick. That's, in other words, this is a thin or a medium thickness pick. You don't want a real heavy, thick pick that doesn't give or bend at all. So you want one that's good for strumming. And one of the things about the pick that's very interesting, and I've never heard anybody talk about it this way before, but I started thinking about how the grip of the pick really is kind of like a volume control for your playing. Now, obviously, when you're not plugged in to a PA system, there is no volume control. It's just you. And if I turn this knob here on the guitar that says volume, it doesn't change anything about how loud the guitar is, because that all has to do with when you plug it in. However, if I grip the pick harder, then I get more volume. If I grip the pick less, then I get less volume. I'm going to just play this chord right here, and all I'm going to do differently, I'm not going to change anything that's happening at my elbow or at my wrist. The only thing I'm going to do is change how firmly I grip the pick. And listen to the difference. That's just very light grip. Now I'm going to grip it harder. And then ease up again. It's all in how firmly you're holding on to that pick. So keep that in mind when you're playing. If you're playing for a small group and you don't want to be very loud, a light grip will get you a light sound, a low volume. Firm grip will get you a louder sound. Okay, so that's holding on to the pick. Now let's talk about proper, left hand position. Okay, this is a big deal. This is where you could develop a bad habit, and you don't want to do that. So let me try to sum this up and be really to the point here, but at the same time give you what you need to be able to do this right. So you're going to want to avoid the temptation. Let's zoom in here just a little bit. You're going to want to be able to avoid the temptation to grab a hold of this like a baseball bat, okay? Or like a broom or something like that, where you just grip the neck like this. You don't want to do that. As a rule of thumb, you're going to want to take your thumb and put it in the back of the neck, just like this. Okay? So imagine your thumbprint going right on the back of the neck, right like that. Okay? Now, your fingertips are what should come in contact with the strings. Just the tips of your fingers, okay? Just the tips. You don't want your hand laying down like that. You don't want the pads of your fingers on the guitar, on the strings. You want the tips of your fingers and the thumb and your thumbprint. Let me move into the shot here. In the back. And so when you do it that way, this is what you're going to get. Now notice when I play like that, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is a gap right here. See that? You're not always going to have that gap there, but if you do, then that's a pretty good indication that you've got a good form there. Because what you're trying to avoid is this thing where your thumb creeps up over the guitar and the neck of the guitar is sitting right here in your hand where your main knuckle is, where your fingers bend. Because then you've got all kinds of trouble trying to make that chord happen. And it's hard enough trying to learn some of these chords in the beginning. So, thumb in the back, just your fingertips. The bottom of your hand is relatively straight. It's not like you're bending your wrist way around like that or anything. Okay, let's zoom out here a little bit. So that's your left hand position. Now that works whether you're playing chords or whether you're playing single notes. Yeah. Or whether you're doing some little combination of the two. Whatever I'm doing, I've still got that same basic position with my left hand, okay? So, now I say all that, if you watch me play, sometimes my, thumb creeps around like that and I kind of creep into that bad position. But I try not to. And when you learn eventually bar chords and things like that, it's going to be all the more important that you maintain that thumb behind the neck, fingertip approach to the left hand. Okay? So, hold the pick, Grab a hold of a lot of it. It's kind of like a dart. Thumb behind the neck, fingertips only. Now, let me say this real quick. I talked about your left hand here, your right hand here. Obviously, this is the way it works if you're right-handed, right? Your right hand is holding the pick. Your left hand is playing the strings, playing the chords. If you're left-handed and you've already been working on the guitar some and learning how to play the guitar, obviously you're just it's the opposite, right? Now, hear me out here. If you're left-handed and you have not started yet, please, for your own sake, learn guitar right-handed. It doesn't make any difference. There's no advantage to using your pick in your strong hand or whatever. You know what I mean? If you're left-handed, go ahead and learn right-handed. You're going to thank me down the road when you're shopping for guitars and you find out that the guitar you want, either number one, is probably not available at all as a left-handed guitar. Number two, the guitar you want is not available, so you have to buy it in right-handed and then flip it over upside down. Or number three, you do find the guitar you want available in left-handed, and it's like $300 more expensive because it's hard to get. You have to special order it. You have to wait 3 months. It's just a nightmare. I used to work at a music store. I ordered guitars for left-handed players all the time. Just learn it right-handed. Learn it with the pick in your right hand and your left hand over here playing the chords. You'll thank me later. Okay, last thing I want to talk about today is how to play a single note. And if you kind of put together everything that I've already talked about, you're going to already have the knowledge that you need to do it. How to play a single note, one note, okay? So obviously you use your pick to play a note on the guitar, to pluck a string, all right? And over here, remember, thumb behind the neck, fingertips. Let's go to this high string. Now, we haven't talked about the names of the strings or anything like that. We'll take care of that later. But this high string, it's called the E string. It's the smallest string, this little one down here. We're going to play that one, and we're going to go up to the 3rd fret, so you count them 1, 2, 3. All right? Now, you're going to press the string down, not on top of the fret. You shouldn't be pushing down on the fret. You should be just on this side of the fret so that you're basically pushing the string down onto the fret so that it's resting on the fret and, as I said, down here on the saddle. So when you do that, you'll hear this note, a G. Now, you can try that with your index finger. You can try that with the middle finger, the ring finger, or the little finger. And it's a good idea with your left hand to start thinking in terms of numbers, not regular finger names, although I'll kind of go back and forth throughout this series. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 finger, 4th finger. Okay? Just try that. See what that sounds like. You don't want that type of a sound or that type of a sound. You want a nice clear note, just like that. Okay? That's what you got. And so, practice your guitar. Right now you don't have anything to practice, but sit down and just get comfortable with it. Sit down and practice holding the pick. Practice getting your hand in that nice position that I was talking about. Thumb behind, fingertips on the strings. Practice just playing one note, random places. And then next week, or the next time that you watch the next session, we will take the next step in playing the guitar. Before you know it, you'll be strumming chords, you'll be playing strumming patterns, and we might even get into a little bit of finger picking. That type of a thing. I don't know how advanced we'll get, but we'll get a little ways down the road. And if you want to take it from there, go take more lessons or learn on your own, then of course you have the ability to do that. But when we're done here, after the next 4 or 5 sessions, you will be able to sit down and lead worship with an acoustic guitar. I make you that promise if you put in the work. But that's what we'll be doing. So practice that, get comfortable with the guitar, and I will see you next time.